أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. There is a hadith in Bihar al-Anwar that Marhum Majlisi is reporting from a person called Mahmud bin Lubaid. He says that I was in the cemetery, the graveyard of Uhud, and there I saw Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha. She came and she paid respect and recited Fatiha on the graves of the martyrs and other graves, and the grave of Hazrat Hamza alayhi salam, the Sayyid al-Shuhada of the Shuhada of Uhud. She sat, she cried, she shedded tears, and I stood by her and I observed her. And when she was done, I came to her and I said, Ya Sayyidati, inni as'aluka an mas'alatin tatalajlaju fi sadri. Qalat sal, qult. He says that I want to have a question. I want to ask you something that has been disturbing me for quite some time now. She says, ask. And he said, tell me, your father, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, did he clearly, without any ambiguity, in open words, did he define the duty after him? Who after him would be the Khalifa, the successor, so that people know what they should be doing? She said, I wonder, I am amazed. Were you not present in Ghadir? It is not long since the event of Ghadir took place, and there 100,000 witnesses, they were present, and my father, he held the hand of Ali, and he showed him to everyone, and he appointed him as the successor. Everyone swore their allegiance to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. And then she gives a reply, which if she wasn't ma'asum, she wouldn't have. A very strong reply. Says, Mathalul Imam mislul Kaaba is tu'ta wa la ta'ti. Says that the example of an imam is like the Kaaba. Is tu'ta. People, they come to Kaaba. Kaaba doesn't come to them. When you want to perform Hajj and Tawaf, you go to Kaaba and you circle round the Kaaba. Says Imam is the same. You have to go to the Imam. Imam won't come to you. You have to go to the Imam. You have to render your services to the Imam. When we see the seerah of the ashab of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, among them is Salman Farsi, among them is Abu Zar alayhim ar-rahma and all. Now when you see how they had tuned their lives with the lives of Rasulullah, with the lives of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the term says Ja'ala hawahu hawa Amir al-Mu'mineen. That the desires, the likes, the dislikes of Salman, of Abu Zar, and all those top-notch ashab of Rasulullah were the desires, were the wants, were all that Amir al-Mu'mineen wanted to do. What Amir al-Mu'mineen did is what exactly they did. Whatever Rasulullah did is whatever Salman and Abu Zar did. So, Ja'ala hawahu hawa aliyan. So their hawa, their wants and likes and dislikes, they were tuned with that of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. So a mature and a perfect man is one who has opened the inputs of his heart and his soul to such a beautiful being. So مثل الإمام مثل الكعبة إذ تؤتى ولا تأتي. The example, the parable of an imam is like that of a Kaaba, that you have to go to Kaaba, not that the Kaaba comes to you. So a mature person, a mature society is one who has aligned himself with the Imam, with the Waliullah. So what shall we do that Waliullah, he becomes the pivot, the center point, and if this takes shape, Imam alayhi salatu wassalam, his return also will be soon and rapid. So what do we do? There are two changes that we need to bring about in ourselves so that the likes and dislikes of mine are the likes and dislikes of the Imam alayhi salam. So there is this dua, Makarim al-Akhlaq, in Sahifa Sajjadiyya, and we recite it in the month of Ramadan. There is a phrase in it which says, Allahumma wantahi biniyyati ila أحسن النيات اللهم وفر بلطفك نيتي. So with this intention, two changes we bring in ourselves. One, an intention which ascends to Allah, an intention which is abundant, which takes so much on board. وانتهي بنيتي إلى أحسن النيات. So we have to elevate our intentions to the highest ranks, and what the translation of this phrase of this dua is, Allah, by your grace, make my intentions abundant. So elevate it and make it perfect. If these two changes take place in an individual, he will elevate and he will ascend. When we relate to Allah and with awliyaullah, we have different niyats and intentions. The lowest is that he relates to Allah and to the Ahlul Bayt to achieve this dunya, which doesn't matter. If a person is connecting to Allah to get to this dunya, that is also perfectly fine. And if someone recites, for example, his night prayers, his Salatul Layl, and all this benefit is mentioned for Salatul Layl, that it will bless you a life, it will enlighten you, it will grant you rizq, it will give you a long age, it will give you a beautiful face, etc., etc. If someone offers the night prayers to get to this, that also doesn't matter. Now, we want to get a little bit higher. For example, someone cries for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein just to see the Imam al-Asr, and when he comes to see the Imam and then says, what do you want? He says, I have a problem, I have a headache, I want that to be cured. So that is sustaining a loss, that we come to a point where we have met the Imam, and there we should be asking for something large, for something great, for something big, and instead of being smart, we get and ask for something little and tiny. So here in this dua, in this phrase of dua, we ask Allah to make our niyats grow, our intentions grow, and also when we ask something from the existence of God, that should be large, it should be huge. Now in Kafi, Marhum Kulaini, he reports a hadith. He says that a person, he comes to, you want to understand what exactly this means over here. How can you make your niyat large, big? And how can that niyat ascend? And how can it be abundant as well? A person, he comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam and says that before you were established, you were new and in your early days, and Muslims also were few in number, and you came to Ta'if. I hosted you, and the Prophet said, yes, I do remember you, I know you. He repeated again that, you remember I was your host. He understood that. Rasulullah says, what do you want now? Now he says that I want 200 lambs and a shepherd to look after these lambs. Now with regret, the Prophet said, why that? Says that, okay, he gave it to them, gave those 200 lambs to him. And then he says this story. Says that my brother Musa alayhi salam, he was instructed to go to Palestine, to go to Misr, Egypt, and to bring the body of Prophet Yusuf and bury it in Palestine. Allah gave him the instructions, but did not give the exact location of where the body of Prophet Yusuf is. Says that when you come to Egypt, you go to the house of this lady and you tell her that you are Musa, you've come to relocate the body of Prophet Yusuf from Egypt to Palestine, and she will give you the address. If Allah wanted, He could have given you the exact location, exact destination address, but He did not, because always there is some maslahat and hikmat in whatever Allah does. Prophet Musa, abiding by the command of Allah, comes here and to this lady's house and says that I am Musa and this is the assignment. I've come to take the body of Prophet Yusuf from here to be buried in Palestine. Can I have the address? She says, yes, I'll give you the address, but on one condition. If you abide by that condition, I'll give you the address. If no, I will not give you the address. And he says that, she says to Prophet Musa, that Prophet Musa, when he said, okay, what is the condition? The condition is that in the heaven, whatever rank Allah is going to give to you, I want exactly the same rank. If you commit, I'll give you the address. Now Prophet Musa, he got the proposal from the lady, that commitment she wants. From him, Jibreel descends. Says, accept whatever she says, just accept it, because you are not going to give anything from your pocket. Allah will give. Prophet Musa says, okay, and gets the address and comes here, takes the body of Prophet Yusuf, brings it to Palestine and buries it there. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, when this incident took place, when that man, he came to him and said, I want 200 goats, there he narrated this hadith. Says, that lady, she was so large, that she was so great, that she comes to Prophet Musa only to give the address. She says, I want a rank, a station, exactly the same as what Prophet Musa will get from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So coming to a prophet and asking for a goat, 200 goats, that's something little. That is where we have to elevate, where we have to ascend, where we have to grow in the niyyats that we have. Now, when we look into the riwayat, there we see that all these joys that we have in this dunya, they are like toys. Now these toys, they keep on growing. Now when a child is small, we see that we buy stuff for him from Toys R Us, from Babies R Us. Grows a little bit, there we get things for him from Kids R Us, and then it is Toys R Us. Grows again, gets something bigger, wants a motorbike, then wants a car, then wants a wife, then wants a house. All these things, they grow. So in reality, it's all those toys that are changing. So we want to see that he hasn't changed, he hasn't grown at all. But when we see the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and those who were raised and educated by the Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam, for them it doesn't matter whatsoever. Whether it's given to them, if it's taken from them, they don't go after the charms and beauties of this world. So Marhum Shah Abadi, he is the Ustad of Irfan of Imam Khomeini rahmatullahi alayhi, Ustad of Akhlaq. The Ustad says to Imam Khomeini that if a sip of water from barzakh, not from the heaven, the Jannatul Khuld, no one has checked in there yet, says if a sip of water from the heavens of barzakh, which will be given and allocated to the mu'mineen there in the resting period until the blowing of the horn of the Day of Judgment, says a sip of water is far better than all the joys and all the charms and all the beauties and all the enjoyments that we have had in this dunya for the duration of our life. So we have to look into things in a different way, in a larger perspective. Or for example, one of the noble that we have is Sheikh Murtaza Zahid, died about 50 years ago. A very noble personality. He went for tabligh to one of the cities in Iran and he said some mas'ala, and the majlis ended, everyone went to their homes, and he came home and found out what he said on the mimbar to the people was wrong. That very night he goes to the house of every single person who was in town who came to this majlis, and then informed every one of them that this was the masala and I wrongly interpreted, and and people, they said, why such a rush, Shaykh, this part of the night, and you walked all this way just to tell that you said wrong and you are correcting what you said. He said, you should have told that tomorrow, nothing would have happened. He says, nothing would have happened, but I'm in a rush. Malakul Maut, the angel of death, he is always in a rush. We don't know when he's going to come, and he will seize away my soul. So I don't want to die with that burden on my neck. So these are great people, how their intentions are, how beautiful they look into everything, and how their actions are. So the niyat has to be like that. Niyat has to be beautiful, has to be large, has to take everything on board. And when a person arrives at that rank, the Quran says, وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. For them it is the contentment of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala which is great. So that is a niyat which is sincere and which ascends. The second part of this dua says, Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati, that Allah, establish my intentions not only in fasting and prayers and worship, in every aspect, in every dealing. My niyyat should be large, my niyyat should be great, and every task should be khalis and sincere and pure. Marhum Ayatullah Kashif al-Ghita, one of the great ulama of Iraq, he says, I swear that for 40 years I haven't done anything mubah, anything jaiz. All my actions are either wajib or mustahab, nothing else. Even drinking or sleeping or one of these actions that were and that are counted as actions that are jaiz and mubah, he says that I have an intention, a niyat, qurbatan ilallah, before every little thing that I do. Now just in brackets, to make that simple, whatever we do, that is, we are different people living in a different time, and things and disturbances and distractions that we have, they are thousands of times more than what were in the past. So because we are forgetful, we can have an arrangement, we can sign a PAD, a direct deposit with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Whatever good I will do, Allah, that it's going to be qurbatan ilallah, and a share of that ajr and reward be deposited to Rasulullah, be given to Imam al-Asr, and whosoever you want that sawab to get delivered to, just sign an agreement with Allah, a contract, and He does it. Whatever you agree with Him, He is the best of those trusts who can be trusted. One of the other applicables of this Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati is this, that we are living in a time which is 1,000 300 years, 380 years away from Karbala. And we always say, Allahumma ya laytana kunna ma'ahum, that we wish we were with you, the Imams. But we cannot. This body of mine can either be in this part of the world where I am located, or if I am traveling to Mecca or to Medina, to Karbala, to Najaf, it will be there. So it's one place I can be. It's either here or it's there. But in my intentions, in my niyyat, I can be here, I can be in Najaf, I can be in Masjid al-Haram, I can be in Karbala. So in my intention, I can be wherever I want. So there is no barrier of space in my niyyats, there is no barrier of time in my niyyat, I can be wherever I want. And that is that wufur niyyat, that when I say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum, I wish I was with you, Ya Aba Abdullah. In reality, it is not possible because I came into existence in this part of the time. Place-wise, location-wise also not possible because I am living here in this part of the world. So when I say Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati, that is in my intentions and my niyyat, I should be so large, and in reality I should be connected to the Imam alayhi salam. Like for example, the example that were mentioned with Hazrat Salman and Abu Zar, how they had tuned their lives with Amirul Mu'mineen. Now a person, when Amirul Mu'mineen was returning from a battle, one of the soldiers, he said that, I wish my brother also was with you, Ya Ali. Amirul Mu'mineen in reply says to him, Ahwa akhika ma'ana? Says that, is the heart of your brother with us? He said, yes, he loves you, Ya Ali. He always wants to be with you, around you, serve you. Imam says, faqad shahidna. If his intention was, and if his heart is with us, then he is with us. So that is that intention, that niyyat. وَلَقَدْ شَهِدْنَا فِي عَسْكَرِنَا هَذَا قَوْمٌ فِي أَصْلَابِ الرِّجَالِ وَأَرْحَامِ النِّسَاءِ سَيَعْرِفُ الزَّمَانُ بِهِمْ وَيَقْوِي بِهِ الْإِيمَانُ. So they are with us, whosoever his intention is that he is with Imam, he is with the Imam. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. On the Arba'een, the 40th day of the Shahadat of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Jabir, he is blind, almost blind, a very old man who was the companion of Rasulullah and who has seen 5 Imams until Imam Baqir alayhi salam, and is the first Za'ir of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the Arba'een, on the first Arba'een of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Jabir, he comes here with the help of Atiyya Kufi, who is holding him, says, take me to the grave of Hussein. Comes and stands there before he comes by the Furat, he performs a ghusl and then applies some fragrance and then comes to the grave of Sayyid al-Shuhada and says, Hussein, 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 and then Ya Hussein, says, I know that you cannot hear, you cannot respond to me, and how can you respond to me? You have no throat, you have no neck, you have no head, that has been taken away from you. He cries and he falls on the grave of Abu Abdullah, and when he comes back to his senses and gains consciousness, there he says that, Hussein, whatever ajr and reward you got from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala for the sacrifice that you have given, I am a sharik in that, I am a partner in that sacrifice. Atiyya, who was with him, Atiyya Kufi, who was with him, he says that, Jabir, what are you saying? A sharik, a partner in the reward of whatever he will get from Allah, you are a sharik with that? He says, yes, because I have heard Rasulullah, my Habib, say, يقول من أحب قوما حشر معهم, whosoever loves a nation will be raised with that nation. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ عَمَلَ قَوْمٍ أُشْرِكَ فِي عَمَلِهِمْ, whosoever loves the action of a nation, he will be also a partner in the ajr and the thawab and the reward of that action. So I love Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, I love his movement, I love his actions, so Allah will give me a share of the reward of whatever Aba Abdullah al-Hussein gets from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So that is that high elevated niyyat, that I want to be with him despite the passage of time and space, and then location, I still want to be with Aba Abdullah, and I say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. Now another example, Muhyiddin Irbili with his father, he is in a cafeteria. Another person had a head cover and amama on his head. He fell asleep. Amidst his slumber, he sees that the person in the cafeteria with that amama on a turban on his head, the amama, it slipped off and there was a big scar, a big wound on his head. We asked him, what is this wound? He says, I got wounded in the battle of Siffin when I was with the army of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. The two, they start laughing, the father and the son. Says, Battle of Siffin, we are 600 years, 6 centuries away from the Battle of Siffin. And Amirul Mu'mineen has passed away 6 centuries ago, and how could you be there? He says, listen to my story, that I was traveling to Egypt all alone, and amidst my journey, I met a fellow traveler. I got happy that at least there's someone we could be together. We talked and talked and talked all the way, and then I found out that he is a Nasibi, someone who has the hate of Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, that hatred in his heart. And then we had a heated talk, and he said to me that if I was in the army of Muawiyah, I would have quenched the thirst of my sword with the blood of Ali and his companions. He says, I said the same. If I was in the army of Amirul Mu'mineen, I would have quenched the thirst of my sword with the blood of Muawiyah and his companions. Says this was our heated talk, and the last thing I remember, that a knock, a blow on my head, and that's it. I didn't remember anything after that. And when I woke up, I saw that my head is in the laps of someone. I opened my eyes, my head in the laps of someone looking after me, caring for me, treating me, and curing me. And every single wound of mine, he cleared it, he cured it, and then he said to me, this one wound and this scar on your head, it will remain. And then that was the Imam of age, Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wasalam, who had come to help him. Imam said to him, this scar and this wound will remain on your head. Whosoever asks you where you got wounded, tell them I was in the battle of Siffin, fighting Muawiyah and his companions, and in the service of Amirul Mu'mineen I got hit. Because that is your niyyat, that was your intention. Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum, Allahumma wantahi biniyyati ila ahsanin niyyat, Allahumma waffir bilutfika niyyati. And then what Imam said to him is, Nasartana nasartuk, you helped us, we helped you. Wala yansuranna Allah man yansuruh. And Allah definitely will help someone who helps him. And I asked him, who are you? He said, I am the Imam of age, Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wasalam, and these are the instructions that tell them that you were in the battle of Siffin and you got wounded. So, Masalul Imam Mislul Kaaba. The example of an Imam is like that of a Kaaba. Is tu'ta, that you have to come to the Kaaba. Wala ta'ati, Kaaba will not come to you. So we have to prepare ourselves such that we get to the Imam, we serve the Imam, we are in line with the teachings of the Imam, with the commandments of the Imam. Whatever he has said to do. Whatever he has said not to do, not to do. So these are the instructions that are given to us in this little hadith that was mentioned. In the ziyarat that we have, that we recite for Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam, we say, Ashhadu laka bit-taslim wat-tasdeeq wal-wafa wal-nasiha. I bear witness that you were someone with all that submission, taslim, tasdeeq, you certified, Wal-wafa, loyalty. Nasiha, it was all this advice that was seen from you and all the servitude and obedience that was seen throughout your life. A small sentence. Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam was born in the year 26 after Hijrah, on the 4th of Sha'ban, the year 61. And then his age is approximately 34 or 35 years in Karbala, and he is the fifth son from among the 17 children of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. So it's 4th of Sha'ban, 26th after Hijrah, and his Shahadat is in the 61 after Hijrah. So he's the fifth son from Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and when Abul Fazl al-Abbas was born, and al-Baneen informs that a baby has been born, he comes and names him Abul Fazl. And then the first thing he does is that he rolls the sleeves of the baby and starts kissing his hands. al-Baneen, who has just delivered the baby, she said, "Is there anything wrong with the baby, Ya Ali? Is there a defect in that baby that you are kissing his hands?" Says, "These hands and defect, these are the hands that will be serving my Hussein on the day of Ashura." Now, a very smart, very strong, very good looking, very beautiful face Abul Fazl al-Abbas has. And with Abul Fazl al-Abbas, there are quite a few ways of having a tawassul. There's a book called Khasa'is al-Abbasiyya. Sheikh Kalbasi, he has written this book. There says that whenever you have a hajat, when you want to have something granted, you offer a 2-rakat prayer, qurbatan ilallah, and after Suratul Hamd, there is no second surah. You just repeat Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum 400 times. Second rakat also the same way, after Suratul Hamd, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum 400 times. And then you complete your prayer after the tashahhud and the salam, and then you say Assalamu alayk ya Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen 100 times. So that is one of the ways how you can have a tawassul with Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam. Marhum Ayatullah al-Uzma Mar'ashi Najafi, he says that he has written a book called Abul Qirba. Qirba means a water vessel. You've seen these alams that we have in the Husayniyas. There's a little vessel which is hanging by the alam of Hazrat Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam. So, Qirba means a small water vessel. And the last time upon the instructions of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Husayn ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, when Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam, he goes to bring some water, he took the small vessel. So here the title of Abul Fazl al-Abbas, one of the other kunya that we have, is Abul Qirba. So he took that little water vessel and then goes to get that water. Now, in this book, Marhum Ayatullah Mar'ashi Najafi, he says that one of the ulama of Najaf, he comes to Masjid Jamkaran, he offers the prayers in Masjid Jamkaran, and once he had done with the tawassul and the prayers there, he says that I had this question in my mind, that people, they come to Abul Fazl al-Abbas to get their hajat granted. Is that right? Is it good, or is it showing a kind of a disrespect that we are in the presence of Imam and then we are seeking help from Abul Fazl al-Abbas? He says this question came to my mind. Shall we do it or should we not do it? If it is the Imam, it is the Imam. Why again mediate and get another help of another great personality like Abul Fazl? He says, I was having this debate in my mind, and suddenly I see a mukashafa opens up before me, and I see Imam al-Asr alayhi salam is sitting next to me. And he says, neither do I get offended when you seek Abul Fazl al-Abbas and then send your hajat to me. Like for example, I say, God, I want this to be granted to me by Abul Fazl al-Abbas, Imam al-Asr, you help me. Imam says, neither do I get offended, neither it is nor it is bad. But I tell you that whenever you want something from me, you say, Ya Abul Ghaus adrikni, Ya Abul Ghaus adrikni. Abul Ghaus, it's the title of Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam. One of the other ulama, he says that I see that there are so many hajat that have been sent to Imam al-Asr alayhi salam, so many in the inbox of the Imam. And all of them have to be checked and dispatched by the Imam. He does send and dispatch whatever the hajat and the du'as of mu'mineen are. He says that I saw that some of these hajat that are sent to the inbox of the Imam, he picks them, touches them with his eyes, kisses them, and then grants. I said, what's the difference? It's the same inbox, everything has been poured in it. Why some of them are being kissed and then being granted? He says these were sought by the mediation of Abul Fazl al-Abbas for me to be granted. So because they've come via Abul Fazl al-Abbas, they are special, they are great. So Ma'asumeen also, they have a special eye, a special regard to Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam. He was 9 years old. Amir al-Mu'mineen, to him some gifts were sent. And Amir al-Mu'mineen was opening the trunk and looking at all the gifts, and there was a beautiful sword in that trunk. Here Abul Fazl was looking at it, standing by the door, by the entrance of the hara, of the tent, and looking at the trunk and the sword. Imam said, do you want that, Abbas? He says, yes. Ya Abata, Imam ties that sword round his waist and he starts crying, bursts into tears. Says, Abbas, a day will come and this Abbas of mine will be killed serving my other son Hussein by the Furat. Abul Fazl al-Abbas, Abul Qirba, Abul Qasim. Qamar Bani Hashim is one of the other titles that he has. Qamar Bani Hashim, because he was so handsome, so very nurani, so beautiful, so good looking, so tall, so of a big build. Now this title also, this Qamar, was given to some of the people there in Mecca. One of them is the grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, Abd Munaf. His title was Qamar Batha. And likewise the title of Rasulullah's father, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, his father alayhim assalam, was Qamar Haram. And here to Abul Fazl al-Abbas, the title given is Qamar Bani Hashim. Other titles are Babul Hawa'ij, Shaheed, Abdus Salih, Saqqa, Saqi, Al-Mustajar, Zaygam, Zahrul Wilaya, and so on and so forth. So many titles are there that have been given to Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam. Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam is raised by Amir al-Mu'mineen. His features, his looks are that of Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam, and his might and his blood is that of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. His adab on the night of Ashura is such that nothing to say, no objection. He is quiet, he is silent, and just listens to whatever the command is being given by Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. On the 21st of Ramadan al-Mubarak, and that is the day of the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, Imam calls his son Hassan, gives the hands of all other members of his family in the hands of Hassan and says, he is your Imam, be obedient to him. And then over here, Abul Fazl al-Abbas was left out. al-Baneen steps forward and says, Ya Ali, anything wrong that was seen by Abbas that he wasn't given in the hands of Imam Hassan alayhi salam? Says, wait, al-Baneen. Calls Hussein and then calls Abul Fazl al-Abbas and says that, Abbas, soon my eyes will be gladdened on the day of judgment that you served my son Hussein, and with that thirst you did not even drink water. Although you were thirsty, you will be thirsty, but you saved your brother Hussein for whatever duration of time. Now, Ya Akhah, Adrik Akhah is the last cry that was raised by Abul Fazl al-Abbas, that brother, help your brother. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam has a hadith, he says that Kana Ammi al-Abbas Nafiz al-Basira Salib al-Iman. Salib in Arabic means a mountain. Nafiz al-Basira means the knowledge of all the prophets was in my uncle's chest. Allah had given him that much of Basirat and that much of knowledge. For the Prophet, it was a tough day then when it was the Shahadat of Hazrat Hamza, Shahadat of Hazrat Ja'far Tayyar. But La Yawm Ka Yawmika Ya Aba Abdullah, because by the Prophet then his uncle Abbas was present, Ali alayhi salam was there, Zubayr was there, his companions were there, many of his family members, they were all there, his aunts were there. But Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, the only one by him is Abbas. None were present. Now why could he not bring the body of Abul Fazl al-Abbas after his shahadat to the camps? That is also over here says that the body had fallen and that Mal'un had hit the head of Abul Fazl al-Abbas such, and then the body was amputated and crushed and broken into pieces. They could not transfer the body of Abul Fazl al-Abbas to the camp where the other shuhada they were laid. Akbar had fallen not better than Abbas his body was. They had sliced it into pieces. Imam stood and said, then Imam says that Allah has given Abbas 2 wings to travel in the farthest and the nearest points of the heaven. Now Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam, one of the things that unfold on the day of Ashura is that when the message Imam wants to give to the Ahlul Bayt, to the Haram, that Abul Fazl al-Abbas is no more, he comes and he removes the column of the tent of Abul Fazl al-Abbas and the tent collapses. There everyone found out that Abul Fazl al-Abbas is no more. One of the other statements that we see, that إِذَا مَضَيْتَ تَفَرَّقَ عَسْكَرِي. Abul Fazl al-Abbas, he comes and seeks permission from Abu Abdullah al-Hussein to go and fight. Imam says, إِذَا مَضَيْتَ Abbas, if you leave, if you go, no one from my army will remain. Now over here when we look into the Maqatil, after Abul Fazl al-Abbas, it's 2 shahada. One is Ali Asghar, the other is Abdullah bin Hassan, and then it is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. So already no one is there. It's the infant and the other child, 10 years old, of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Imam says, you Abbas, if you go, then nothing from my army will remain. Imam recognizes Abul Fazl al-Abbas as the entire army of his. Means that when he sees that brothers wants to get him to get some water, now Imam says, go and get some water before you leave. Hazrat Abul Fazl al-Abbas takes that smallest vessel to fill the water, and over here they says that 7 times it took for him to get into the Furat. He fills the vessel with water and then he returns to the camp, and that Mal'un, he shoots an arrow onto the right arm of Abul Fazl al-Abbas, and that drops, and then he says, Wallah in qata'tumu yamini inni ubahami abadan an dini, and holds it with his left hand. And then again that Mal'un, he shoots another arrow onto his left arm, and that also drops. Now he holds the vessel with his mouth, with his teeth, and rushing towards the camp. And Harmala, he shoots another arrow onto the eyes of Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam. Now he couldn't see anything. It's all those blood-filled eyes. And the other Mal'un, he smashes an iron rod upon the pure head of Abul Fazl al-Abbas, and now Abul Fazl al-Abbas falls onto the horse, and now neither he can hold it, and someone who falls from a place, it's the hands that help him to protect himself. Here Abul Fazl al-Abbas has no hands, falls to the ground, calls his brother, Akhah, Adrik, Akhah, and by the time Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein reaches Abul Fazl al-Abbas and then places his head in his laps and cleans his eyes, and that is Abul Fazl al-Abbas alayhi salam gives away his life in the laps of his brother Hussein. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إلهي بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها، يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم أحينا حياة محمد وآل محمد وأمتنا ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة محمد وآل محمد وفي الآخرة شفاعة محمد وآل محمد. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.